Judges, please join me in welcoming the Enactus team from Brandon University. Please open their report from the link in your email, which we also just shared in the chat, and scroll to their green sheet in your judge handbook. Judges, you will now have 3 minutes to review their report. Judges, please turn your attention to the screen as we play the first video.
Food insecurity is one of the most serious issues facing Canadians today. 1 in 8 Canadian households are food insecure, meaning there are millions of people in one of the wealthiest countries on earth who do not have reliable and stable access to food that is sufficient, safe, and nutritious. Many individuals struggling with food insecurity are forced to turn to food banks for assistance.
The Samaritan House in Brandon is Manitoba's second largest food bank. They distribute between 80 to 100 food hampers per day, with 20,000 hampers distributed per year. Food banks face a serious shortage of donations, and demand is increasing rapidly. They need more than 147,000 pounds of food each year to provide for their clients' needs.
Fresh produce is most desperately in need. The prices for fresh produce are increasing at an alarming rate, making it harder for families to attain. Over the last 3 years, the vegetable index has increased by over 18%, while the food index has only increased by 3.1% in Manitoba. In 2020, this meant an additional $411 to the average Canadian family annual grocery bill. This substantial increase in cost makes basic nutrition harder to achieve.
In 2012, our team conducted a needs assessment with the Samaritan House on hunger in Brandon. This assessment revealed that demand on the food bank had doubled in the past 10 years, and since then it's doubled yet again to be more than 1,800 people per month.
At Enactus Brandon, we saw a way to combat this, and we created Green Futures.
Today, we would like to share our story on how we saw a need, came up with an idea, empowered our community, and impacted impacted our city in a positive and sustainable way.
Our story began back in 2012 when an opportunity to partner with the Samaritan House arose. We came together to develop a community garden that would provide families fresh produce and empower those who relied on the food bank.
We found low-income participants who didn't have the opportunity to create a garden for themselves, many of whom already personally relied on the Samaritan House for assistance.
What came of this was our original garden, Green Futures East. Through years of development, this garden was so successful and had so many returning members that they took it upon themselves to run the garden. They created strong relationships with their neighbors, took care of each other's gardens in their absences, and facilitated their gardens each spring independent from our Enactus team.
We had previously ran another garden, Green Futures BU, located right on our university campus, which is able to grow over 1,300 pounds of fresh produce each year for our campus food bank. We then made arrangements with the Brandon University Students' Union for them to take over management of the garden, guaranteeing its sustainability well into the future, while also providing student employment through the creation of a garden coordinator position that is compensated with a tuition rebate. Green Futures BU also participates in our university mini-youth summer camp program, providing young campers an opportunity to learn and experience the benefits of gardening from a hands-on perspective. 2
community gardens were not enough. Our downtown core still lacked any accessible green space that would provide for a sustainable growing opportunity, and our Samaritan House was still expressing desperate need for our support. So we went back to our roots to address this in the way we know best. We built 81 raised garden beds, and our third community garden, Green Futures North, was born.
With 81 garden beds, each producing approximately 45 pounds, we can produce more than 3,600 pounds of vegetables. Additionally, we have a large ingrown plot growing food directly for the food bank, which produced around 400 pounds of food this year. Together, this totals over 4,000 pounds. At a cost of approximately $4.35 per pound at the store, we have generated more than $17,500 of economic impact.
This past summer, we worked with 17 local families to help them grow fresh vegetables. For an average family with 2 beds, our gardens provide them the opportunity to grow themselves 90 pounds of fresh produce, worth approximately $390. With an average of 4 individuals in each family, we directly worked with 68 individuals. Any of our garden beds that are not used by community members are dedicated to growing food for the food bank itself, to ensure we are maximizing our impact. All 1,800 people who are reliant on the food bank gain access to nutritious produce through these garden beds, meaning our project impacted a total of 1,868 people.
This project has benefits that directly improve the lives of our community members by giving them the opportunity to grow their own produce, learn a new skill, and create lasting relationships along the way.
But don't take our word for it. Let's talk to Daniela, one of our gardeners.
The best thing about the garden is being able to grow things. I live in a really small apartment, and without Green Futures I would not be able to do that. Last year I got to grow some really big beets, and I'm really excited about the tomatoes I'm going to be growing this year. Plus, it's good to have a reason to get out and spend time in nature, and the money I saved on groceries last year was really helpful as well, especially after being laid off due to COVID.
Roughly 8% of an individual's carbon footprint comes from buying food, and of that, 30% comes from transporting the food to the store. By growing food in our gardens, our participants significantly decrease their carbon footprint. This results in a substantial environmental impact. For every pound of produce grown locally instead of buying it at a store, roughly 2 pounds of CO2 is eliminated. With 4,000 pounds each sequestering 2 pounds of CO2, Green Futures North alone eliminates 8,000 pounds of CO2 per year.
Our success has not come without recent challenges. Due to COVID-19, we were unable to provide communal tools to our gardeners this past summer as we normally would.
However, by putting in extra volunteer hours, we were able to till every single garden bed for our gardeners to spare them the need and establish a tool loan program that allowed gardeners to borrow whatever tools they needed for the season while abiding by the COVID guidelines.
Our number one goal at Green Futures is sustainability, both environmentally and financially. Our various partners in our community allow us to keep costs down while growing our impact. We obtained the land for the garden from the City of Brandon and are signing another land use agreement this summer, guaranteeing us access for another 5 years. The city also provides a shipment of topsoil each year for our gardeners to use. With our partnership with the Samaritan House, the garden is also able to employ a summer student each year who oversees the gardens growing food for the food bank directly.
Despite our project having minimal operating costs, to ensure that our project is sustainable and accessible to everyone, we incorporate a social pricing revenue model. Food bank families are able to access our gardens for free, while non-food bank clients pay a low price of $10 per bed to utilize the gardens. Approximately 30% of the beds are paid, which allows us to fund improvements and upkeep at the garden. By incorporating this model, we are able to cover our operating costs while still being able to provide low-income individuals with free gardening space.
We pride ourselves on being a zero-waste operation. Any waste from gardening production is composted at our composting bin by the gardens. This compost not only diverts this waste, but it also provides gardeners with fertilizer to boost production in their gardens.
We plan to take this a step further and implement our newest project expansion called Campus Compost. With a recent grant received from Scotiabank at a recent Enactus competition, we are in discussion with the university to implement a composting site on campus that will divert waste from our cafeteria as well as the campus gardens. This compost will be used to increase the production of the campus gardens, and any extra will be diverted to our gardens at Green Futures North. Our long-term goal will be to generate sufficient compost to be able to sell locally to generate an additional revenue stream for this project.
We have also recently partnered with another Enactus team from St. Mary's University to make even more out of the waste at our gardens. With their Square Roots program, they aim to redirect perfectly good food that would be thrown away into the hands of communities. They approached our team to create a Square Roots location in Brandon. Our team would procure local produce from not only our own gardens, but from other local farmers and sell the produce in bundles with support from the St. Mary's team.
These are not the only plans we have for the future. This upcoming summer, we plan to make our community gardening program bigger and better than ever. We've secured funding and space to build an expansion that will double the size of Green Futures North.
We are also in preliminary talks with our partners at the Samaritan House and the Brandon Keystone Center to create another community garden in central Brandon that will provide beds for residents of a nearby retirement home and even more space for the food bank.
As we expand, a portion of the garden will be dedicated to microgreen production. Microgreens are young vegetable greens that are harvested only 1 to 3 weeks after germination. They are highly nutritious, rich in flavor, and are often used in gourmet dishes to add a splash of color.
Microgreen production is scalable and has been proven to generate meaningful profit. North America accounted for the largest market share of microgreens in 2020 and is predicted to continue to grow by 7.5% each year over the next 5 years. There are currently no microgreen producers in Brandon, which serves to illustrate the capacity for growth and expansion. Notably, with local food trucks, locally owned businesses, and farmers markets that attract customers that want a relationship with the producer and are looking for products that benefit the community and community members.
This summer, we will be testing production systems to find methods that are most efficient at our gardens. Seed will be distributed across various production techniques, balancing light, temperature, and other environmental factors. Because of the short growing season of microgreens, we will have seed propagation and production systems solidified by the end of summer.
Any microgreens produced throughout testing will be provided for use in the Samaritan House Food Kitchen. We will be utilizing this opportunity to connect with local food producers as the Samaritan House has connections that will help enrich our distribution potential.
Our goal is to begin selling our microgreens at local farmers markets and to local restaurants by 2022 after we have solidified our growing procedures and established partnerships within Brandon. This expansion will allow us to hire one person full-time for the maintenance and management of our gardens. Our long-term goal is to turn our garden into a sustainable social enterprise. With our Green Futures initiative, we are successfully decreasing one of Brandon's biggest problems, hunger, by giving our community the knowledge, access, and ability to grow food all on their own.
Our gardening program is proof that a small team from a small town can have a big impact, but we do so much more.
Our team of just 22 members contributed over 2,000 volunteer hours with 3 additional projects.
With the WISE project, we worked with 36 new immigrants to improve their confidence in the Canadian financial system through a series of workshops.
With Money Matters, we developed a financial toolkit that has helped 250 young families improve their financial knowledge.
And with Community Creations, we provided workshops and support to 32 future entrepreneurs to help them get started on their entrepreneurial journey.
4,000 pounds of vegetables,
$17,500 of economic impact,
8,000 pounds of CO2 eliminated,
2,779 people impacted.
Lives to garden. Dig it.
It is now time for the question and answer period. Judges, please submit your questions through the chat function at the bottom of your screen. Click on chat and use the drop-down to ensure you're sending your questions directly to me, Amy Kenyon. And while the questions start coming in, I'm going to have each student say their school name to make sure their audio is working properly. Just one moment while we pop them up on the screen. There we go. So if I could start with Dylan, just say your school name.
Brandon University.
Thank you. And Ben?
Brandon University.
And sorry, I can't see your two names on my screen. If you could just go one at a time.
Brandon University.
Thank you.
Brandon University.
Perfect. Okay, so we'll just wait for the judge questions to start coming in, and then I'll start the timer when I read the first question. Okay, I'm going to start the timer now, but there are no questions just yet. Okay, the first question comes from Emily from Enterprise. Has there been any interest in expanding the gardens to include fruit options, i.e. orchards, berry patches, etc.?
We've actually had some discussion with our partners at the city about planting some fruit trees just north of our gardens and some land that's not being used. Obviously, they would take a few years to develop and start to bear fruit for us, but it is something that we're thinking about, yes.
Fantastic. The next question comes from Paul from Castle and Cards. What, if anything, is done to help people prepare their produce for the winter months?
So through the Samaritan House, they run like a lot of workshops on like canning and pickling and things like that. And so a lot of the people who use the gardens have the opportunity to learn things through the Samaritan House there. And then also food bank clients who get food from them will have the exact same opportunities too.
We're also developing things to take that canning education directly to the garden so they can learn in the garden.
Fantastic. The next question comes from Kirsty from Northbridge. What made you move away from the gardening as this is your main business to other projects?
We're really just looking at ways to make this project as sustainable as possible. And, our long-term goal is to keep expanding and developing new garden spaces across Brandon to provide people all across the city with opportunities to grow. So by generating these project expansions that can help us generate some revenue for our project, it allows us to fund these expansions and keep growing our project and keep growing our impact.
Great. Next question is from Glenn from the Cooperators. Is traveling to and from Green Futures North an issue for families?
So a lot of our gardeners are in the neighborhood immediately around the garden. Before we had a pretty significant number of gardeners who were traveling from our city's downtown, but our city unfortunately decided to tear down the bridge that was connecting the two neighborhoods together. Following that, we had to sort of redirect our efforts towards getting people from like the immediate neighborhood around the garden where there isn't a whole lot of access to start gardening there. But otherwise, we've been very successful with that.
Great.
Yeah, this is a big area of why we're expanding into different neighborhoods so that everyone can have access no matter where they live and that they don't need to just be located beside our current gardens. And that's why we really want to keep expanding and make this as accessible as possible.
Great. I've got two questions here fairly similar, one from Simon from Good Food and one from Mitch from Flash Food. They say there's a limited window time to growing produce in Brandon in the winter months. Have you considered the use of greenhouses or brainstormed any ways to increase crop yield on a year-round basis to increase the needed supply for food banks?
So we definitely have In the past, we've tried to work with hydroponics and get a system going that would be able to do that. But what we have found is just with how small our school is, we just haven't been able to get the expertise and the funding necessary to get those projects going full time. But it's definitely something we've always had in the back of our minds, something that we have all our research and stuff ready to go for if that person ever arrives to us.
Great. Emily asks, have you thought about beekeeping to encourage pollination of the plants?
We haven't thought about beekeeping itself. We do have one garden bed dedicated that's outside the garden, so we can't really use it to grow food, that we plant flowers and things that attract bees. And we have also planted sunflowers at various places throughout the garden to attract pollinators to the garden itself. And then with the potential new garden at the Keystone Center in Central Brandon, our discussions with them have included a pollinator garden there as well.
Great. Next question comes from Brent at RBC. Have you developed strategic partnerships to expand your reach and generate support for your projects?
Yes, we definitely have across Brandon. So our primary relationships are number one with the city of Brandon. We have a very strong relationship with them, as well as the Samaritan House. They kind of look to us to help partner and develop new locations, and as well as the university. So our university gardens, that's what really allowed us to make that project sustainable, is by partnering with our student union for them to take over management of the garden. So yeah, we definitely have integral relationships throughout Brandon that have helped supported our project.
Fantastic. The next question comes from Joel from Sister Mercy. So far, has the $10 cost per bed been able to cover the operational costs, or have you relied on other support, grants, sponsorships, etc.?
So it's been a mix. In a regular year, the $10 is more than enough to cover like the price of tools or repairs to like a lawnmower or something. It's only if there's like a big cost, like expanding the garden or getting like a significant repair done to our well, that we've had to apply for grants and do other fundraising. But all of that has been able to fund everything there.
Fantastic. The next question comes from Mitch from Flash Food. What support does St. Mary's University provide for the implementation of the Square Roots initiative?
So for the beginning, they'll supply us with a shipment of bundles just to help kind of apply proof of concept and try and get attraction to the project in our area. So they supply that first bundle for us to sell. And then after that, it's almost kind of like a franchise where they provide us with all of the, systems and et cetera that they have developed over the years. But it's on our team to kind of implement the initiative in our area, procure local produce to long-term provide these bundles, etc. So they kind of supply us with, the brand, the systems, etc. But it's up to our individual team to procure the local produce and sell the produce.
Great. Next question comes from Tia from Pembroke Management. What education do you offer the new gardeners about what to plant and how to make the best use of their garden?
So with our partners at the city this year, them and some other community gardens in Brandon are all offering this Garden 101 workshop that is available to all of our gardeners, where they can go for a couple of times for a few weeks and learn about how to grow the plants they want, how to get the best yields. The Samaritan House has workshops and classes on how to cook with plants that you grow. And then we also find that a lot of the gardeners just have a lot of knowledge already. And like by forming relationships with each other, they're sharing this knowledge and teaching each other things and just building sort of a community there that way.
Great. Next question from Glenn at the Cooperators. Is there a selection process, or how are individuals or families selected?
So we always would give priority to families with the food bank. So if the food
Your time has expired. Judges, please join me in congratulating the team from Brandon University. Judges, we have a couple of minutes as we bring in the next team. Please use this time to complete your green sheet and we'll get started momentarily. Students, you may now leave the meeting. Judges, please turn your attention to the screen as we play the video.
In Canada, we have one of the best healthcare systems in the world, yet we are still unable to effectively target heart-related diseases. Here are the facts. Cardiovascular disease is the most costly disease in the country, coming in at $21.2 billion in 2019.
And worse than that, it is the second leading cause of death among Canadians, with 66,000 people dying from cardiac arrest every single year. 8 in 10 cardiac arrests occur at home or in public places, and of these, only 1 in 10 survive. Combined with CPR, the use of an AED may increase the likelihood of survival by 75% or more, but for every 1 minute of delay in defibrillation, the survival rate of a cardiac arrest victim decreases by 7 to 10%. That means there are only 10 minutes between life and death. And each minute spent waiting for AED intervention means increased rehabilitation time, increased medical costs, and a decreased quality of life.
Newfoundland and Labrador has the highest rates of heart disease and is ranked the least healthy province in the country. Yet we continue to make unhealthy choices. Back in 2019, when we learned of these facts, it became clear to us that the current system needed to change. An innovative solution was needed, one that empowers communities to work together, improves access to life-saving technology, and reinforces all of this with education for lifelong impact.
Heartstarter can be that solution. This disruptive approach has the potential to change the facts of heart health.
But how are we going to do this? A project of this magnitude cannot and should not be done alone. Strategic partnerships are critical to sustainability.
The Heartstarter business model is intentionally designed to have communities lead the change. It's a grassroots approach that flips the focus from high-level institutional control to on-the-ground community engagement. We partnered with municipalities in Newfoundland and Labrador to work with us on the community rollout. The project has already been endorsed by the Urban Municipalities Committee, meaning that 23 of the largest communities in the province support this project.
The town of Holyrood was chosen for our pilot. This community is known for its commitment to innovation and a small rural community. They immediately saw the potential to provide a much-needed service to 2,500 residents. We are also planning an expansion to 2 other communities that serve another 27,000 residents. Later this month, we will present at the Municipality of Newfoundland and Labrador's symposium to share our project with community leaders across the province.
Heartstarter has 3 core components: the defibrillator registry, innovative technology, and, of course, education.
Cardiac arrest can happen to anyone of any age without warning. Fortunately, automatic external defibrillators, or AEDs, can administer an electrical shock that restores the heart's normal rhythm and resuscitates the victim. These devices are self-operating. They analyze the patient's condition and are fully equipped with simple audio and visual step-by-step commands. And in Canada, the Good Samaritan Act protects any volunteer who takes action to assist a person in need.
Although AEDs are available in many public places, our province does not have a publicly accessible defibrillator registry. In 2019, we partnered with the PulsePoint Foundation and used their platform to start registering AEDs. The PulsePoint AED app allows users to input the exact location of AEDs, and then anyone with the app can find them in an emergency. Since forming our partnership with PulsePoint in 2019, residents have logged 142 AEDs, improving AED accessibility in 10 communities.
While that impact is significant, a major challenge is getting residents to download the app. No matter how many AEDs are logged, without the app, people will still not know where they are located. We needed a different solution. After more research, we founded Aed Link, a data repository that logs the present and location of registered publicly accessible AEDs. No app required. Once an AED is registered on the site, the system can be accessed by 911 operators and generate and transmit a GIS map showing the locations of AEDs near the caller in need. Registered first responders who are in the area are also notified so that they can assist.
We are in talks with our provincial government to help with promotion and maintenance of the Aed Link registry. They see the importance of getting this right, and with the help of municipalities Newfoundland and Labrador, and by using our own social media platforms, we are connecting with communities to educate them on the benefits of Aed Link and motivate them to register AEDs.
But what if the equipment someone needs is logged, but it is too far away to be useful? 41.9% of our population live in rural communities. Trying to reach these areas, or any remote location for that matter, by ambulance poses challenging time restraints.
Now, imagine a drone positioned in a central location. It can be halfway to its destination before an ambulance even leaves the station. Attach an AED to it and you're good to go.
Well, it's a little more complicated than that. The drone would need to be fast, reliable, even in our harsh weather, and of course, equipped to carry an AED. We looked on the market for one that could meet those needs, but nothing seemed to fit. So we worked with a local company, RPM Aerial Services, to customize the DJI drone. Given its ability to fly in extreme weather conditions and its proven safety features, this drone works and could also be easily modified to carry an AED.
Costing $14,000, this drone is quite affordable considering its capability. And when modified to carry an AED, any victim of cardiac arrest in the radius of Hearthstone could receive this life-saving device before it's too late. As an example, ambulance response time to Holyrood's Butterpot Park is 18 minutes. That's far past the 10-minute survival mark. A Hearthstone drone can get an AED there in under 6. Think about the difference that can make.
The next step, logistics. Who would fly the drone? From where would they be dispatched?
Well, that's another reason why the community approach works. The drones won't replace current emergency services, but will instead run parallel to them. First responders quickly respond to cardiac arrest emergencies. With Heartstarter, a call to 911 for cardiac arrest would mean the dispatch of an ambulance and, when needed, an AED-equipped drone, giving the caller time to administer the defibrillator before it's too late. With further help from RPM Aerial Services, we are arranging training for Holyrood's 28 firefighters, as well as members of their local search and rescue team to be certified to fly the drone. Heartstarter can then service the town's 2,500 residents.
Beyond AED logs and flying drones, we knew we had to think proactively. That's why our third and final pillar is education. We not only had to educate communities on the presence of Heartstarter in their area, but we also had to ensure that they shift their lifestyles to prioritize their heart health, focusing on what they eat, how they exercise, and the impact of their choices. To advance this goal, we developed 2 new strategic partnerships and created our own educational materials.
We reconnected with Succeed, now a fully functioning independent social enterprise that our team started as a food security project in 2016. We're participating in the development and rollout of a sustainable superheroes education program that focuses on healthy and sustainable food choices. Already, the program has impacted 1,632 students in 68 classrooms. Using this program as a foundation, we developed our own educational material, which focuses on promoting a heart-healthy lifestyle. We also educate on the importance of sustainable choices, as these can positively impact the environment too. By 2050, dietary changes could reduce CO2 emissions by 8 billion tons a year.
Then we teamed up with our local YMCA and started a social media campaign to share this information. And since January, we have had over 11,000 impressions. In February, our province was suddenly brought back to full lockdown in a response to a COVID outbreak, leaving many vulnerable families unable to provide food. We knew that through the YMCA, we could help. Together, we offered heart-healthy food hampers to 40 families. We included our own cookbook of healthy recipes and the ingredients to teach them how to make nutritious food.
Having education as a third pillar will ensure that community members understand how their choices impact their health.
We know that changing the healthcare system could not be done without input from experts. That's why we applied for acceptance into a medtech incubator, Bounce Innovation. We have been in the incubator since January, and now have access to resources and networks to help establish us in the medical technology sector.
Let's pause for a moment. 10 minutes has passed since we started our presentation. That's the maximum amount of time that a person can survive cardiac arrest without help. Clearly, 10 minutes is not a lot of time. This disruptive solution has so much potential, but if we're not able to generate revenue, expanding the project and making it sustainable will be difficult.
We went back to the project's 3 pillars and realized that we needed to offer them as one. The Heartstarter Community Pack includes the modified drone equipped with an AED or any medical device under 2.7 kilograms, the management and maintenance of the AED registry, and engaging educational material.
It costs $22,000 to establish Heartstarter in a community. The plan is to charge larger communities $26,000. We would then generate sufficient revenue to offer smaller communities a reduced cost, so we can add more municipalities and benefit more residents in our province.
12 months ago, Hearthstarter was a little more than an idea.
This year, we made a real impact. We took a few wrong turns and made many pivots. When we are taking on a systems change, that is to be expected. Every detail matters.
We developed a business and revenue model that will allow us to be sustainable.
We piloted the concept in Holyrood and are working to expand into 2 other communities.
We established new partnerships with Succeed, the YMCA, Bounce Innovation, and RPM Aerial Services, and have customized our own drone.
We are working with Aed Link to provide our province with their first AED registry.
This month, we present our project at the municipality's Newfoundland and Labrador Symposium.
In June, alongside RPM, we present to Hong Kong University in Taiwan as a result of their interest in our use of drone technology.
I think that the Hearthstarter program is making our community safer. On 2 ends of it. On the education side, you're giving people the resources that they need to live healthier lifestyles and to set themselves up to be a more healthy, active, and heart-healthy person, but also you're making it more accessible through the drone programming.
Using a drone to deliver an AED, as an obvious, as Benny said, it's a direct flight straight to the person that's in need of help.
I think absolutely this project has the potential to decrease the costs and the pressure on the healthcare system.
If that drone can get there 2 minutes ahead of a first responder, that 2 minutes could save somebody's life.
So I think if we can get to patients more quickly, we can treat them more quickly, we can improve their outcomes, and that's not only good for patients, that's also good for the economics of the healthcare system.
Remember those facts we shared at the beginning?
Hearthstarter is on its way to changing those. It's changing the system and empowering communities. It's empowering us to take charge.
It is now time for the question and answer period. Judges, please submit your questions through the chat function at the bottom of your screen. Click on chat and use the drop-down to ensure you send your questions directly to me, moderator Amy Kenyon. And while the questions start coming in, I'm going to have each student say their school name to make sure their audio is working properly. Diego, we'll start with you.
Memorial University.
Thank you. Eve?
Memorial University.
Thanks. Megan?
Memorial University.
Great. Kelsey?
Memorial University.
Thanks. And Nikki?
Memorial University.
Fantastic. So the questions are just starting to come through, just waiting on the first one. Just give it a couple of seconds here. Okay, the first question comes from Kirsty at Northbridge. Have you sold any health packs? If not, who are you targeting to buy a pack? And does the $26,000 include profit that can support full-time staff?
As of right now, we are currently in talks with 2 municipalities in our province, one being the town of Torbay and the other one being the city of Corner Brook. We are working on the community pack and selling it to them. The $4,000 that we're aiming to generate in revenue, we would like to use to help support smaller communities such as Holyrood that wouldn't otherwise be able to afford the Hearthstarter community pack, and we wouldn't be able to expand in smaller communities, which make up the majority of communities in our province. So we aim to use these proceeds to help these communities rather than hire any full-time staff at the moment.
And to elaborate on what Diego just said, we actually funded the pilot ourselves. So we do, the community pack has already been implemented in Holyrood, so that one we actually funded ourselves.
Fantastic. The next question comes from Elizabeth at Talent and Culture. You have some great strategic partnerships. Have you had any uptake or connection with the Heart and Stroke Foundation?
Yes, we actually, when we first started working in the project, we started working with the Heart and Stroke Foundation. We worked with, our contact with the Heart and Stroke Foundation was Jonathan Kirby, and he actually stopped working with them. We kept in contact with them, but since we decided to pivot and focus on an approach that was more towards communities and cater towards communities. We have lost contact with the Heart and Stroke Foundation, but we definitely would be looking forward to leveraging this partnership and getting in contact with them again when we're looking to expand further to more communities after we launch into these 2 communities that we're planning to launch by the end of the summer.
Great. The next question comes from Ken at Chartwells. Have you encountered any risks or challenges with using drone technology?
Yes, and this entire year has been filled with us just trying to make the project better, and not only in an effective way, but also sustainable way. One of the biggest things that we learned this year was actually the regulations with Transport Canada, because it's really cool to be part of this disruptive project that's united to industries, which is the medtech sector and the aviation sector. But there's also a lot of regulations that come with that. So a lot of the things that we've looked into to secure this, not only the safety, but the effectiveness of the project is like making sure the firefighters have the advanced licenses to fly the drone, making sure that we set up drop-off points for when the drone lands after delivering the AD, making sure that we there's like a 10-mile limit called a beyond visual line of sight that we're working with Transport Canada right now to actually secure. So there's so many regulations and everything that only came out in 2019, 2020 that we're really excited that RPM Aerial Services and the Bounce Lab specifically are helping us navigate through, and it's exciting to get those challenges and conquer one after the other every day.
That's awesome. Next question comes from Laura at EY Canada. Providing education to students is important for long-term heart health. However, cardiovascular disease is more prominent in older populations. Beyond social media, have you considered a way to bring this learning to older populations?
Yes, so as of now, with the pandemic happening, we had to quickly adapt. We used to do in-school sessions to communities around us. However, with the pandemic, we had to switch to virtual. So right now, we are focused on communities in Newfoundland. However, we are definitely planning on expanding across the country since it is virtual. We have set up a PowerPoint, informational PowerPoint that we will be sending out to other schools across the country. So the more impact, the better.
Also, to add on what Eve was saying, we are currently working with our partners at Succeed and Bounce Innovation to develop a program that we would be catering towards elder populations, so adults rather than high school students as we're currently targeting. But we are currently on the developmental stage of that project because we know that they would be interested in different facts and we needed to approach them on a different way. So that's why we're currently working on that. And we have a base, but we would like to provide them with a solid product that would interest them and they would actually learn something from the education that we would provide them with.
Okay. The next question comes from Joel at Sister Mercy. Has the drone successfully delivered a device in the field since the pilot began?
It has not yet, but honestly, that's a great sign because we don't want the project to have to be implemented. We don't want cardiac arrest to happen. So currently all of the firefighters in Holyrood, they're trained, they're ready to go. The drone's ready, they have the aid, it's all ready, but luckily they haven't had to implement it yet, which we are thankful for. Best case scenario, we don't have to implement this, but we know the realities that we will. So luckily this resource is available and ready to go.
Great. Bit of a follow-up question from another judge, Glenn from the Cooperators. How many drones do you have? And what are the biggest concerns from the communities for the drone program?
As of right now, we have the drone in the town of Holyrood, and we are working to acquire 2 more drones for the town of Torbay and the city of Corner Brook. Also, the most common question that we got from communities was regarding Transport Canada and regulations, as well as provincial regulations, which, as Nikki was talking about, they were significantly hard to get through, getting all of the registration for the drone, getting all of the permits for the firefighters. But we are currently on a really good position, and we are leveraging our partnership with RPM Aerial Services because of their expertise in this network and their direct contact with Transport Canada. So that's the most common question that we have, but we are confident right now that we can address that rather quickly when we expand to the other 2 communities that we're aiming by the end of the summer.
To add on to what Diego's saying too, the Transport Canada has never experienced a project like this before. So what makes this project really exciting is that they're actually working with us to advance like the aviation and the med tech industries. So the reason why we're always seeing new challenges is because they haven't seen it before, but we're so happy that we have RPM and Transport Canada working with us so we can push this and progress this into the future.
Great. The next question comes from Tracy at Mentor Canada. Is there a backup for deployment of medical support should the drone fail?
So we're not replacing like the drone is not replacing current medical services. So an ambulance will still go if it can. So the reason we're implementing this is because currently there might not be an ambulance that can get there within the 10 minutes, which is why for rural areas that might have like the roads might take a really long time to get there. That's why this drone can go straight over them. So technically we're not replacing any current medical services. So the ambulance will still come. It's just a matter of the drone will likely get there faster. So if anything were to happen and if anything were to happen with the drone, it has enough safety features. We highly doubt anything can happen. But if it were, the ambulance is still coming anyway. So it's not replacing that.
Great. Samantha from Sun Life asks, how are you measuring the impact you've had with this program?
Since this program is so complex, we measure the impact based on our 3 pillars and based on short term, long term, and medium term. As of right now, we're really proud of the fact that we are in talks to establish a publicly accessible
Your
AD.
time has expired. Judges, please join me in congratulating the team from Memorial University of Newfoundland. Judges, we have a couple of minutes as we bring in the next team, so please use this time to complete your green sheet and we'll get started momentarily. Students, you may now leave the meeting. Judges, please join me in welcoming the Enactus team from the University of Toronto St. George. Please open their report from the link in your email, which we also just shared in the chat, and scroll to their green sheet in your judge handbook. Judges, you will now have 3 minutes to review the report. Judges, please turn your attention to the screen as we play the video.
This year was like no other. Our team of over 90 students from around the world faced unprecedented challenges within our different projects.
However, we did not give up. Instead, we made it our goal to use the power of entrepreneurship and collective action to drive us in taking on new opportunities in the face of change and uncertainty.
We at Enactus University of Toronto believe that an artificial peel is key to reducing microplastic pollution and food waste.
We believe that our consulting services help struggling entrepreneurs in the restaurant industry survive the pandemic.
We believe that financial education is the best way to help those in marginalized communities become financially independent.
And we believe that creating a platform for students to engage and connect on is crucial to opening up more conversations around mental health.
Together, we represent Enactus UFT, where our mission is to change the lives of others so that they can change the world.
Our team, across 7 fields of studies, identified meaningful solutions to key community problems, ranging from environmental sustainability to mental health. Our diversity is what defines us, and our resilience is what strengthens us.
Let us share with you the story of 4 projects that persevered despite the difficulties brought on by COVID-19, how they continue to break down barriers and expand their impact.
From Food Systems Lab at U of T, we learned that in Canada, 25.5 million tons of edible food is wasted each year, generating $31 billion in losses. 71% of that is wasted during manufacturing and processing before even reaching consumers. Of all the food that is wasted, 45% of it consists of fruits and vegetables. From small farms to large grocery chains, fruits are often preserved using conventional plastics like saran wrap and plastic bags, which takes hundreds of years to biodegrade. Currently, there are 5.25 trillion pieces of plastic debris in our ocean that is harming our wildlife.
Introducing Biopeels, a social enterprise with a mission to reduce the harmful impact of food waste and ocean microplastic pollution. Our Biopeel is an environmentally friendly, cost-effective, and sustainable alternative to plastic products. Biopeels has developed an artificial peel which can be applied onto various types of fresh produce to extend their shelf life and serve as a better alternative to plastic packaging. We coat a thin layer of cellulose and other biodegradable polymers onto short shelf life items such as strawberries, mushrooms, and blackberries. We have successfully developed a minimal viable product that is being tested on various fresh produce. Right now, our Biopeel can significantly reduce mold growth and decrease a strawberry's water loss by up to 40%, as well as being non-toxic and easily removable.
Even with the ongoing challenges of the pandemic, we were able to continue with the development of our Biopeel by finding other usable lab space that included a functional fume hood and chemicals, as well as a hazard storage space. Next academic year, we plan to launch a pilot project at Cafe Resnikov and other cafeterias at the University of Toronto, where our Biopeel will be applied onto fruits with non-edible peels. The pandemic poses uncertainties regarding the growth of Biopeels. However, as we demonstrated this year, we will persevere and continue with future development.
After our pilot at U of T, the Biopeels team will work to integrate our product into the existing product production chain, focusing on developing a quick drying application process. Our long-term goal is to end the cycle of plastic dependency. With Biopeels, we work to solve the issues of food waste and microplastic pollution. However, we didn't just stop there. Within the food industry, we set out to tackle another problem, the challenges faced by restaurants due to the COVID-19 pandemic.
According to Restaurants Canada, since March, over 10,000 restaurants have shut down, laying off over 800,000 individuals. We saw this as a huge challenge for entrepreneurs and an opportunity for us to step in and make a difference. Enactpreneur, better known as ETP, provides pro bono consulting services to startups in the Greater Toronto Area. Due to COVID-19, we pivoted from focusing on startups to local restaurants after seeing the challenges they face from the pandemic.
We provide tailor-made deliverables to specifically fit client needs and resolve issues relating to marketing, finance, competitive advantage, and workplace adaptability. Through our consulting services, we also provide students with hands-on experiences, equipping them with the skills they need to succeed in their future entrepreneurial pursuits. In September, we matched 36 university students with 6 innovative businesses. We did this based on the needs of the business as well as the skill sets of the students. Our students identified and transformed the needs of their clients into actionable deliverables.
One of our clients, 0DB, helped our students understand how a business operates and expose entrepreneurship as a viable career path. We helped 0DB improve their social media strategy by using brand colors and adding more diverse influencers, resulting in a 15% increase in Instagram followers. Let's take a look at what Kyra, the head of customer success, has to say about how ETP helped their business.
They have been helping me build a social media marketing strategy. They've helped so much with Facebook, Instagram, looking at other avenues, influencer marketing. They've done the high level research, and they've also done some digging and given me some tangible resources that I can use myself. So it's been incredibly helpful. URTB has benefited greatly from all your services. You guys have really helped me decide on what's important to focus on right now. Because we are a startup, obviously resources are limited.
This year, we have helped 6 struggling businesses achieve their business goals and provided over 1,600 hours of consulting services, allowing our clients to save over $35,000. Our solutions included helping Food to You prioritize their target market strategy, assisting Hero Ice Cream in developing a cost-benefit analysis model, expanding Finnovator's target market, generating alternative financing strategies for Classic Juice Co., and developing a costing model for VipBio to achieve better profit margins. We accomplished a lot with ETP this year, producing tangible results with all of our clients. However, the food service sector was not the only demographic we saw that needed our help.
According to MNP Limited, 85% of our country believes that financial literacy is lacking, especially in marginalized communities. These communities are more susceptible to low income and language barriers, so we specifically targeted youth, women, and newcomers. At Catapult, we work to fill their unmet needs through 3 components: workshops, a Catalyst video series, and a consultation program. Our customizable workshops had an emphasis on everyday finances and career support to help community members become financially independent.
From our research, we learned that many financial education programs cover basic topics like budgeting and credit, but very few cover more innovative, advanced topics. That is why this year we constructed a brand new workshop with a focus on investing. To ensure the delivery of accurate information in the workshops, all Catapult team members received training through a financial education certification course from McGill University. By speaking with the coordinators and participants of community organizations, we were able to determine their specific financial needs and goals. Using that feedback, we developed tailored programs for each demographic by changing our type of activity, level of depth, length, and topic.
One of the organizations we partnered with was Covenant House, whose mission is to help transform the lives of homeless, runaway, and trafficked youth. By presenting a series of customized workshops on topics such as budgeting and OSAP, we provide important financial education and life skills that complement their existing job training program, helping these youth transition to independence. We use the same model for all 10 partnered organizations, measuring the efficacy of our workshops through pre- and post-workshop assessments. We are so proud to say that 91% of our participants were satisfied with Catapult and would recommend it to others.
To lower the barriers imposed by COVID-19, we amplified Catalyst, our educational YouTube videos based on our Catapult workshops. These innovative videos created last year made it easy for viewers to access our material and learn on their own, whenever and wherever. It has also allowed us to expand our outreach. By gaining subscribers on YouTube, we can generate ad revenue through the YouTube Partner Program and Google AdSense, ensuring the sustainability of our project. This year, we also launched a virtual consultation program that provides participants with one-on-one mentorship with a Catapult member to address personal financial needs and career support.
Through Catapult, we directly help 248 individuals in marginalized communities become financially independent. This pandemic challenged us in a way that we never saw coming, but we persevered to find better ways to connect and get through this hard time together, whether it's through financial education videos for our participants or an online platform for students.
Although this pandemic kept us all apart, it also created an opportunity for us to keep the UFT community connected while also improving students' mental health. Studies have shown that isolation leads to a decrease in mental health due to limited social interaction. With universities pivoting to an online format, this has forced many students to be separated from their support system. To make matters worse, UFT does not have sufficient health and wellness services, and now more than ever, students need those services.
Because of this, we launched Enactus, a platform that helps U of T students who are feeling isolated and lonely from the COVID-19 pandemic connect with others. As per the BC division of the Canadian Mental Health Association, we learned that by building a strong network of social support, it helps students' mental health by decreasing the impact caused by stress.
To build that strong network, the Enactus platform consists of a website for mental health resources and a Discord server that works to help students build connections and increase their mental health resiliency. Students can support peers by engaging with each other through games, activities, and other events. Through our Discord server, Enactus has helped 136 students increase their mental health, with users reporting feelings of being included in the student community despite the current COVID-19 measures.
Since our launch in September, Enactus has seen an exponential increase in users, with a total of 1,016 unique visitors on our website.
This is the story of perseverance of all 92 passionate students volunteering over 8,300 hours tackling the obstacles brought on by the pandemic. Despite bumpy roads and setbacks, we pushed ahead and exceeded expectations, impacting 4,544 individuals through our 6 entrepreneurial projects.
This year, we have helped 6 businesses achieve their business goals.
Empowered 2,265 individuals with financial independence.
And improved 1,152 students' mental health resiliency.
We are Enactus University of Toronto.
We change lives, they change the world.
It is now time for the question and answer period. Judges, please submit your questions through the chat function at the bottom of your screen. Click on chat and use the drop down to ensure you're sending your questions directly to me, Amy Kenyon, moderator. And while the questions start coming in, I'm going to have each student say their name, their school name, to make sure their audio is working properly. So Stephanie, I'll start with you.
University of Toronto.
Thank you so much. And we've got Eric.
University of Toronto.
Thank you. Adve.
University of Toronto.
Perfect. And Sarah.
University of Toronto.
Fantastic. Okay. So we're just waiting for the questions to start rolling in from the judges. Let's give it a couple of seconds. Okay. First question comes from Brent from RBC. What revenue streams have you created to fund your programs? And how much revenue are you earning from social media?
I can start off. So most of our program right now is like a pro bono service. So for Catapult, for example, right now we are providing pro bono workshops to marginalized communities through the workshops, but we do hope to generate revenue through YouTube in the future with Google AdSense and the YouTube Partner Program. For ETP, it is also a pro bono service, but we hope to implement a donation option on our ETP website in the future that will allow us to generate revenue through our clients in the future.
Great. The next question comes from Samantha from Sun Life. How are you measuring the success of your mental health initiative?
So we're measuring the success through surveys that we send out to our participants. And so we would ask them just an anonymous Google Form survey. How is Enactus helping you? Do you find a difference with your mental health resiliency? Do you know more ways on how you can improve your mental health? And through that, we're measuring just looking at the surveys on the 7-point scale, how well that we're doing. In addition to that, we're also looking at the number of students who attend our events on a regular basis, as well as if more students are attending our events.
Great. The next question comes from Brian at Alterna Savings. Do you expect Enactus for student mental health to continue post-pandemic?
Definitely. So even though Enactus started because of the pandemic, we really want to focus on the mental health aspect and a little bit less on because we started due to COVID-19, and really show that Enactus is another resource on the U of T campus for U of T students. Because U of T doesn't have enough mental health resources for all 60,000+ students on our campus, we really want to be able to do our part and let students know that they can connect with other students, not only on our campus, but across Canada as well on our server.
Great. The next question comes from Emily from Enterprise. How is the biopeel removed?
So I'll answer that. So I'm Eric. I'm the project manager of Biopeels. So the Biopeels is actually removed just by simply washing it off. And on some fruits, we're currently testing on some fruits that you can't wash off. For example, blueberries or raspberries or strawberries, right? You would just ingest and it would be non-toxic. So we're currently trying to prove that it is non-toxic and that it is safe to ingest.
Okay. The next question comes from Samantha from Sun Life. If many of the projects are pro bono, how are you funding the development of the artificial peel?
So actually, right now, we have all the funding required for the research, and we have a lot of the lab space and material costs accounted for. So during the scale up, we're actually partnering with Loblaws and Sobeys. They are very interested customers in us, and they have been pitched a similar project before called APL Sciences that they rejected based on cost. And so because we're improving on that, they're very interested in investing in our project, and they've also given us access to their distributors that we've contacted in order to scale up properly.
Great. The next question comes from Glenn from the Cooperators. Will biopeels actually decrease plastic use as the product will still need to be packaged, or is the intent more to preserve the food product?
So the intent is actually to preserve the food product, as you mentioned in the latter part. So because you are applying a biodegradable plastic, well, essentially a biodegradable plastic on the outside of a fruit, you are able to reduce other types of packaging, such as cold storage or saran wrap packaging or styrofoam packaging. And because of the reduction in those areas of non-biodegradable and high carbon footprint packaging solutions and shelf life increasing solutions, we're able to divert that carbon into a more biodegradable option.
Okay. Another question from Samantha from Sun Life. Do you make expert resources through your mental health program?
Sorry, can you repeat the question?
Yeah, do you make expert resources through your mental health program?
Yep. So on our website, we actually have a list of mental health resources, not only at the U of T campus through U of T Health and Wellness, but as well as other resources just around the GTA area. So this would include like therapists or just any mental health specialist that they can go to for help, as well as just we're able to connect with them through our Discord server as well, and just let them know if they want something more personal and it's not on our website, we'll definitely help Google search and find it for them.
That's great. Got a question here from Mitch from Flash Food. For Biopeel, have you thought of methods to scale the application process in order to save food providers labor?
Actually, in terms of labor costs, so Biopeels is really aimed at not necessarily reducing labor costs, because that is one of the biggest costs of a distributor. And that was one of the reasons why APL Sciences was rejected by Loblaws and Sobeys. But our product does not require additional technician and labor increases on the part of distributors. So we would, in implementing our Biopeels, we would not require additional increases in human resources. So that's our value proposition against the APL Sciences.
Excellent. Just waiting for some more questions to come through from the judges. Oh, here we go. We've got one from Joel from Sister Mercy. How are the biopeels applied? At scale, at the processing facilities, or at the food service level?
So at the processing facilities. So there are actually two ways of applying these types of cellulosic or biodegradable plastic films. There's the wet casting, or there's the spraying. So right now, spraying is very difficult to do. So we're using the wet casting technique that is also used by APL Sciences in order to apply it very cheaply. It's also very environmentally friendly and does not require a lot of energy.
Okay, great. Got a question here from Elizabeth from Talent and Culture. Where did the technical knowledge for biopeels come from? Oh, you're on mute.
Sorry, so everyone in our team are scientists, and we have students in chemical engineering, materials engineering, we have a grad student in materials engineering, and we've all have lab research, we have access to lab, so we're all pretty experienced in doing materials engineering research.
Fantastic. Just waiting for some more questions to come through. Oh, we've got one from Emily from Enterprise. Have you partnered with the Ontario College of Psychotherapists to expand the list of available mental health experts?
No, we haven't partnered with them yet, but that's definitely a resource that we'll look into in the future and partner with them.
Great. Next question from Lorelei from HSBC. What's the biggest challenge you've encountered with financial literacy with the groups you've worked with?
I think the biggest challenge that we've faced is making sure that our members have the knowledge and skills to be able to teach these workshops. And we've definitely improved on that this year by making sure that they all have done a financial literacy certification course from McGill University. Another challenge we face is engaging the participants, especially with the online format this year. And so we definitely try to do that through adapting our activities and the workshops to ensure that it is meeting their needs, especially on this virtual platform.
Great. Just again, waiting for another question to quickly pop in. Your time has expired. Judges, please join me in congratulating the team from the University of Toronto, St. George. Judges, we now have a scheduled break. Please ensure you're back at your screens by no later than 2:40 p.m. when we will begin the last two presentations. Students, you may now leave the meeting. Please join me in welcoming the Enactus team from St. Clair College. Please open their report from the link in your email, which we also just shared in the chat, and scroll to their green sheet in your judge handbook. Judges, you will now have 3 minutes to review the report. Judges, please turn your attention to the screen as we play the video.
Innovation is the ability to see change as an opportunity and not a threat. But this year, with our present under lockdown, it can be hard to reimagine the future. How can someone start a career or begin to support their own livelihood when our society as a whole is so unsure about that same future?
And when so much has changed, as students, we asked ourselves, where am I supposed to start? How will I make a difference?
We are Enactus St. Clair, a 4-year team residing in the southernmost point of Canada, Windsor, Ontario. Our team of 20 students has created 4 dynamic projects that aim to tackle 9 of the 17 Sustainable Development Goals.
But this has been one of our most challenging years yet, where more was asked of our ability to adapt to the struggles that impact the day-to-day life of Canadians across our country. We've watched as Canadian unemployment rates reached an all-time high, all while the cost of living continued to climb. And with student engagement at an all-time low, combined with our drastically changing economy, it is harder now more than ever to find employment, with existing support seeming out of reach.
Introducing Interact, an online platform that provides students with the skills and resources to achieve financial stability. Through our curriculum, students learn valuable employment and financial knowledge, giving them real-world experience and lasting connections. When we originally delivered our modules, they were in person and directed towards international students.
but we knew that all students could benefit from our tools and information.
So this year, we partnered with our mobile app development program and created a free application that educated 224 students on employment and financial literacy. Once installed, students accessed our employment modules, delivered through a combination of videos and activities such as resume building and professional development. Through the app, students scheduled mock interviews conducted by our team and industry professionals.
The Interact application also functions as a personal planner, where students can add tasks, manage goals, and sync events with our campus calendar. We also partnered with our Alumni Association to host exclusive employment and networking opportunities for both past and present students.
Our second modules focus on financial literacy in partnership with Libro Credit Union. Students had access to multiple workbooks and calculators on topics such as budgeting, investment, and credit management. When asked for suggested topics in our exit surveys, students emphasized a need for an easily accessible housing feature. And we agreed. With the help of a local Century 21 brokerage, we have integrated an additional tool that will allow students to search all available listings in our area. With our combined resources, students had success in investing in their own skills.
Through our exit surveys, we discovered that our students felt more confident in their ability to find employment. And of those students, 67 found jobs. We also discovered that 119 students were able to save a total estimated $127,000 based on approximately 10% of their monthly income.
But we knew we could reach more, and the students we wanted to reach were those that are most often neglected by our education's culture. Students who experience broad challenges, such as developmental disabilities and other significant learning challenges.
Through our partnership with Community Living Essex County, we took that same Interact foundation and adapted it to the needs of our community integration through cooperative education program at St. Clair College.
The CICE curriculum is designed to provide them with the opportunity to experience college life, pursue a post-secondary education, and develop skills that prepare them for employment.
These efforts led to the creation of Enduro, a mentorship program tailored to individuals with developmental disabilities to encourage independence, focus their skills, and promote a truly inclusive community. Because we know it doesn't exist. And you do too.
Studies show 51% of disabled individuals between 25 and 64 are unemployed. This is despite their skill set and ample education. Even then, they're more vulnerable to reduced wages, discrimination, and workplace harassment. This is the day-to-day life of 1 in 5 Canadians, 6.2 million of our friends, family, and neighbors.
But Canadians with mental or physical disabilities have the right to live free from discrimination, to enjoy the same quality of service, education, vocation, and inclusion, the same quality of life as every person in Canada. It was so important to us that we break down the boundaries that exist between the CICE students and the rest of our college.
We first started with surveys and focus groups with 51 CICE students, aimed at revealing their prior knowledge. They were so excited to engage with us and one another, without the fear of being judged.
I pretty much begged my parents to teach me how to do online banking to pay off my visa, how to do e-transfers. So I have to get somebody just to reassure me, oh yeah, that's right, and then I'll send it. But overall, I've been doing it for a few months, and it's like I feel like I'm growing up, like I'm now an adult. I'm no longer this little girl. It's like I'm 25 years old.
The students were a direct part of shaping what desires they had for the curriculum, along with the help of industry professionals. They helped us realize that resources are limited across Canada, and because of that, we plan to implement an interactive platform that individuals can access.
While building upon finance and employment modules, we also expanded on topics such as self-advocacy and household management. Our discussions included the support of Workforce Windsor Essex, who provided students tools to navigate future employment, like job postings and transportation routes.
Finally, we hosted a series of mock interviews to truly cement their knowledge and confidence in pursuing their future ambitions. This includes the possibility of becoming entrepreneurs themselves. Through our experience with these 2 projects, we knew our focus on education and entrepreneurship had the potential to scale to more schools across Canada.
This led us to develop EAST, an online education program that provides high school students with the confidence to pursue entrepreneurship and skilled trades as a career option. The skills taught from our modules are adaptable to all classrooms, from business to culinary. Our program was piloted within a classroom of 30 students, generating 12 micro businesses in our community.
With this success, we have secured the support of a local school board, expanding to classrooms across the region, bringing 300 new students to our program and an estimated 100 micro businesses this year. Instead of seeing online classes as an obstacle, we reached more students than we previously could by adapting to the new online environment. Our student workbooks are also accompanied with a teacher's reference to help guide them through our program and keep students on track.
Our curriculum is then broken down into 4 different modules: starting your own business, conducting a SWOT analysis, developing a marketing strategy, and how to do the perfect sales pitch. These 4 modules together form a basis for the business model canvas. Through these topics, students are challenged to brainstorm possible opportunities and obstacles of their new ventures. By doing so, students gather insights about their product or service and the needs of their potential customers.
With this information, students can apply their work towards developing a marketing strategy. They then assess what social media platforms will be most effective for their target demographics.
While developing these businesses, students can virtually access an Enactus mentor to help guide them towards success. Beyond just an interest in entrepreneurship and skilled trades, students are also taught transferable work skills in a digital space.
From feedback surveys, we continue to restructure our handbook with better guidelines for student success. All of our students shared that they learned a new skill through our curriculum, and 78% are confident in pursuing their own business.
As far as the benefits to students goes, it allowed them to develop skills that I think are critically important. They were able to take their weekly lessons, apply them to their venture, communicate them in a clear, concise manner to the class. It's a skill that's invaluable in my mind, especially in business.
Through our East curriculum, our goal is to provide students with the tools and knowledge necessary for the creation of their own ventures. And we know building relationships is vital to the success of any business. Beyond just our mentors, we help students create connections with local entrepreneurs in their community.
With our focus on the power of education, we wanted to enable students to directly apply their studies to an issue impacting major cities across Canada. Through collaborating with the data analytics and mobile app development programs on our campus, we developed Revert, a green tech initiative whose mission is to improve the effectiveness of recycling through innovation and technology.
First, we started with the use of a 5-tier sorting bin system installed at our campus residence. This, combined with our Welcome Week orientation, helps students divert their garbage by sorting items accurately into aluminum, paper, trash, plastic, and organic waste. These efforts help deal with cross-contamination. If the amount of incorrect materials in a recycling bin is over 10%, everything, including the properly sorted materials, is sent to a landfill.
And 10% adds up, meaning our efforts to recycle could be going to waste. So next we developed our automated sensor system. Our sensors can monitor variables such as weight, height, and count of a bin's contents. With this information, waste managers can not only better assess their waste, but gather crucial insights about their institution's direct needs and habits.
This sensor system helps facilities run more efficiently by providing real-time data, an innovative approach to operations, producing savings in time, labor, and money. And this year, we began the creation of our own waste management dashboard. Once installed, our app turns collected data into comprehensive reports. Our future functions include automatic notifications, location traffic, and commodity pricing.
The full Revert system creates transparency and accountability in existing waste management structures. And what makes Revert truly unique is not only its versatile support for institutions, but its ability to assist other sustainability projects in monitoring their metrics.
By focusing on creating accessible solutions for the youth in our communities, our 4 projects continued to strive toward innovation and collaboration. We were motivated, not discouraged, by the challenges brought on by the pandemic. In fact, our new digital focus has only further expanded the scope of our scalability.
This year, Enactus St. Clair contributed 2,800 hours over 4 projects, directly impacting 875 students.
We challenged 9 of the Sustainable Development Goals and developed 12 community partnerships.
And generated close to $16,000 in funding.
Last year, we all shared a sense of uncertainty for what the future would hold. a shared desperation for things we could not change. Today, regardless of the challenges, our motivation to overcome is stronger than ever.
And with this motivation, we at Enactus St. Clair are fostering innovation for the next generation.
It is now time for the question and answer period. Judges, please submit your questions through the chat function at the bottom of your screen. Click on chat and use the drop-down to ensure you send your questions directly to me, Amy Kenyon, moderator. And while the questions start coming in, I'm going to have each student say their school name to make sure their audio is working properly. Hallie, I'm going to start with you.
St. Clair College.
Thank you. Caitlin?
St. Clair College.
Thanks. Avery?
St. Clair College.
Great. And Trevor? You're on mute. Let's try again.
Someone had to do it. St. Clair College.
Excellent. All right. So we're going to start with the questions. I'll start the timer as soon as I ask the first question. First question comes from Mitch Harrison from Flash Food. Can you give us some examples of the micro businesses launched through Project East?
So the micro businesses that were launched through the project could vary from like businesses generated by these students making landscaping companies for them to run during the summer, or if they're making a physical product, like if they're cooking, they could sell that. So it really varies on the type of student that is building the business because of the range of programs that this curriculum is in.
Great. And I've got a question from Kirsty from Northbridge. Have you thought about working with local businesses to set up co-op terms or trainee programs to help students gain work experience?
Definitely. That is in the plans for the upcoming year, to partner students with local entrepreneurs that are experts in the field that the student is interested in, to hopefully get the student to end up working in that trade or specific field.
Great. The next question comes from Paul from Carlton Cards. What are the most significant barriers to employment for members of the Enduro program, and how have you been able to build content to address the barriers?
We work specifically with Community Living Essex County and their employment team to create our curriculum. Our curriculum is based off of things that the Community Living team has encountered during their job coaching experiences with people with disabilities. Some of the things that we heard directly from the students were they felt out of place when they were at work due to maybe other employees not completely accepting them and not really letting them feel welcomed into that community, or just things like maybe they don't have very good function of their hands, so they can't put gloves on in a specific workplace. There's different barriers depending on the disability, which is why we worked with Community Living to work on those specific barriers.
Great. The next question comes from Vincent from Prodigy Group. Does the team have any statistics surrounding the positive contribution of the training programs?
We definitely have gotten a lot of great feedback from all of our different training programs that we have implemented, because there are so many different ones. Like Enduro specifically, we've gotten so many great different feedback from the students themselves, saying that they feel more accepted into the college because their program is segregated from the rest of the college. So if we're working directly with them, they feel more integrated and that they have more friends. So things like that, it's great feedback that we've gotten.
And to elaborate on Avery's point as well, there's been special emphasis on how important our programming has been, in particular during COVID-19, with the isolation and again, sort of with that outlook on the horizon. We've brought a lot more opportunity and hope to the students that we're working with towards the future.
Great. The next question comes from Samantha from Sun Life. Do you provide any mentoring to the micro businesses, or monitor how well they're doing or how durable their business model is?
Definitely. We're always available to the students for a mentoring session. They can request that like a meeting with us at any time, and we are available to them at any time that they need us to be.
Great. The next question comes from Tracy from Mentor Canada. You spoke about national scaling and replication. Have you pursued this?
For Enduro, we're currently working with Community Living Essex County to pursue the national scalability. They have said they would like us to present to their board and to try to expand provincially and then nationally through community living and their employment teams.
Okay. Next question comes from Joel from Sister Mercy. How does Revert support waste management decision making, and how does it reduce contamination?
Excellent question. So a lot of waste management as it's currently executed is actually done based on manual audits, which is manually by hand going through the waste itself. And this only really offers a snapshot of that institution's waste habits at that moment in time. So if you're looking to have a real-time analysis on the daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly patterns in your institution, it's not realistic as far as labor hours, as well as the education required to conduct an audit. So by utilizing technology, and data analytics in particular, we're constantly referring to a picture of what that institution's habits are so they can create a more customized approach to their particular aspects. We pivoted that initially because we were focused on, creating a 5-tier bin system. However, it was in the process of that aspect of our project that we realized that so many institutions have different operating teams that we really needed to offer them a tool to analyze their own issue instead of creating a broad approach that only narrowed down on a few institutions' issues.
Great. Next question comes from Laura from EY Canada. Can you share more information on the sensor system that is part of Revert? What is the cost? Where has it been implemented?
Absolutely. So currently our actual sensor system, so it has a microprocessor that's mounted in as well as a scale. So in our bins, there's a sensor at the top and there's a sensor at the bottom. So it communicates the information that it's collecting in real time through the sensors that are going through, as well as the weight of the bottom at the base. That is then brought back to an application that we've developed, and it's offering that by the second information pattern. So currently we are working on our second prototype because our costs currently are $210. We know by continuing to work with our prototype that we can bring those costs down, as well as when we manufacture more models in scale, that the overall material costs themselves will decrease. And we know minimum we can bring down that threshold to at least $150 for the initial install. And that will bring immediate savings to the operations teams we're aiming to work with.
Great. Just waiting for some more questions to come through from the judges. I'll give it a little bit longer to see if there's any additional questions from the judges. Oh, here's one from Samantha. Who is your target audience for the sensor?
So we actually want to work directly with institutions. So currently we're working with our campus as well as an organic waste pickup company, because they actually work with several restaurants and they're doing pickups. So for them, it's actually a matter of optimizing their routes so they know, because organic waste is so much more compact and it's actually an ergonomic issue to transport it away. So if they can actually have an application that they look at and go, oh, I know I have to hit that restaurant, within a certain amount of time, they can actually optimize their routes. The next step, and we know that by implementing
your time has expired. Judges, please join me in congratulating the team from St. Clair College. Judges, we have a couple of minutes as we bring in the next team, so please use this time to complete your green sheet and we'll get started momentarily. Students, you may now leave the meeting. Please join me in welcoming the Enactus team from Okanagan College. Please open their report from the link in your email, which we also just shared in the chat, and scroll to their green sheet in your judge handbook. Judges, you will now have 3 minutes to review the report. Judges, please turn your attention to the screen as we play the video.
Welcome to the Okanagan. Pristine landscapes, orchards as far as the eye can see, beautiful homes, and luxurious living. But behind all of this beauty lies a different picture.
That luxurious lifestyle? Well, it's driven by some of the highest debt levels in Canada.
Those beautiful homes? That only tells part of the story. There are an estimated 400 people experiencing chronic homelessness in Kelowna right now, with this number increasing each year.
But that's not all. Remember those beautiful orchards? In BC, 25% of all food ends up in the garbage, and in our local community, the grounds of many orchards are covered by unwanted apples that are left to spoil or rot.
We transformed these issues into opportunities and developed 3 projects. $1.2 million children in Canada struggle to get enough to eat every day. At the same time, every year in Canada alone, around 500 million apples go to waste. What if we could transform this waste and turn it into a healthy snack to address food insecurity? That's why we created Fruit Snaps. Fruit Snaps works with local farmers to rescue these unwanted apples and turn them into a healthy snack to combat food insecurity. With the help of the Gleaners, a local nonprofit, we developed an innovative process to dehydrate these apples and turn them into apple chips.
In our pilot year, we tested our business model by donating fruit snaps to over 300 children at local schools. But that was just the beginning.
In our second year, we expanded fruit snaps to meet a greater demand from our community. We developed an innovative new process to increase our production capacity by over 500%. Our fruit snaps were supplied to 18 local schools in Canada and other countries, such as Ukraine and North Korea.
Last spring, all of our schools closed abruptly due to the COVID-19 pandemic, leaving us with excess capacity. So what did we do? We pivoted our strategy and expanded our project to supply local food banks and help those who needed it most.
This fall, we picked twice as many apples as last year. But we didn't stop there. We identified an opportunity for this current year to transition fruit snaps into a social enterprise through the introduction of fresh pressed apple juice. So life gave us apples and we made apple juice.
This innovation during the worst of COVID-19 represents the best of Enactus OC. We capitalized on an opportunity to scale our impact and take it to the next level. To date, we have produced 2,000 liters of juice from the apples that would have otherwise gone to waste. The juice was sold through several sales channels, including an online store, a local grocer, and a partnership with a local elementary school.
The juice was such a success that this March, just 4 months after launch, we sold all of our inventory. This generated $5,500 in revenue with a gross profit margin of 57%.
Our partnership with BC Tree Fruits provided us with an additional 6,000 pounds of apples. These apples contributed to a total donation of over 41,000 servings to local schools, food banks, and international organizations. This increase of 17% from last year was achieved all while meeting recommended public health guidelines.
Our vision is getting noticed. This February, we received $10,000 from the Investment Readiness Program funded by the Government of Canada. These funds will enable us to expand our social enterprise, which helps us to achieve a long-term vision for our program. This revenue model will allow us to pay farmers for their apples and hire at-risk youth for our labor needs.
Because of fruit snaps, farmers now have access to a sustainable means to repurpose their apple waste, and local school children have access to a nutritious snack.
You like oranges?
But we didn't stop with fruit snaps. The #1 social issue in Kelowna is homelessness. What if we could transform the stigma around people experiencing homelessness into a positive conversation? We acted on this opportunity and created Rising.
Rising is an interactive educational resource that was developed as a response to local educators asking for our assistance to help them incorporate the topic of homelessness into their classrooms. Funded through a national grant from Canadian Tire, the project uses a train-the-trainer approach and was a collaboration between the nonprofit Journey Home, our local school district, and our lived experience mentors. Dorothy, one of these lived experience mentors, worked with us to develop Rising.
The value of the module and the way it's delivered in teaching, it comes from the people who lived it, because nothing should be done about them without them. Children should be given the opportunity to have their own opinion and not be raised in the biases of their parents or society. A drop in the pond is a ripple, and every child will be talking to how many people in his lifetime. I think that's why it's important.
Rising incorporates interactive activities and is customizable for elementary, middle, and high school students. The desired outcomes include awareness and prevention of youth homelessness, fostering empathy, and developing new perspectives. For example, one student, Tristan, connected homelessness with Pink Shirt Day and how a person experiencing homelessness is bullied and ignored because of how they look.
Our vision is that by working with teachers and students through Rising, we can encourage social responsibility and compassion in our community. Students are encouraged to brainstorm ways to turn their ideas into action. By the end of May, our module will have run in 7 local classrooms, ranging from grades 3 to 12. In just 4 months, we project Rising will have directly impacted 176 students.
We will be expanding Rising this coming year through the development of new modules, each one connected to a nonprofit organization to build awareness of other prevalent issues, such as Indigenous history, cyberbullying, and sustainable fashion. As for the homelessness module, current plans are underway to scale it into a social enterprise by making our curriculum packages available for purchase through online educator websites. We will be giving a percentage of the income earned back into the nonprofit organizations that have helped us grow.
Through Rising, we will educate today's youth and empower them to create meaningful change in their communities.
Empowerment through education is how another Enactus OC project, CanSave, transforms the conversation on a national issue. Canadians are living with serious debt. Students are reaching adulthood without the financial skills needed to succeed. CanSave is a program that teaches financial literacy to youth using a simulated economy. Students must complete in-class and take-home assignments on topics like spending habits. This earns them Enactus bucks.
Throughout the program, students are tempted to make poor financial decisions, like buying candy and toys. Student success is measured based on the completion of their workbooks and their final account balances.
CanSave started for youth in kindergarten up to grade 4, and we have been working to continuously expand the program. Last year, we added a brand new module called CanSave for Unique Learners. This module was developed in part by one of our Enactus members, Danielle, whose son Logan has a learning disability. Almost 5% of Canadian children aged 6 to 15 have a learning disability, such as autism or ADHD. Danielle's passion and knowledge helped to expand CanSave using special education techniques to include these children with learning disabilities.
But that's not all. New this year, as a response to the increasing financial instability that was a result of the COVID-19 pandemic, we expanded the CanSave modules to provide financial literacy training to youth in grade 5 and 6. This allows us to potentially impact an additional 8 million students across Canada.
All of the CanSave modules are available in both French and English. In addition, all of the CanSave materials have been vetted by certified teachers. Since all CanSave resources are available for free to students in both virtual and in-person settings, parents and teachers across Canada have continued to access CanSave during the COVID-19 pandemic.
The success of CanSave has been overwhelming. This year, our online platform has empowered over 620 teachers and parents, impacting over 23,000 students across Canada.
To address copious amounts of food waste, we developed an innovative way to repurpose wasted apples and scale this impact through the introduction of a new social enterprise that provides local farmers with a way to repurpose their wasted fruit and provided over 3,000 people with new and improved access to healthy food.
Not all of Dorothy's experiences have been positive. Her lived experience around homelessness has been given the platform to change the way people think about homelessness.
Danielle's son and over 23,000 other children across Canada now have access to improved education that is accessible remotely and will help them improve their futures.
This year, through these 3 projects alone, Enactus OC has impacted over 27,000 people. We diverted 22,000 pounds of waste, saved over 4.6 million liters of water, and helped over 23,000 students gain access to better education.
Local farmers, Dorothy and Logan, represent just a few of the many people impacted by big problems facing Canadians.
At Enactus OC, we're transforming lives and communities.
It is now time for the question and answer period. Judges, please submit your questions through the chat function at the bottom of your screen. Click on chat and use the drop down to ensure you send your questions directly to me, moderator Amy Kenyon. And while the questions start coming in, I'm going to have each student say their school name to make sure their audio is working properly. Nicole, I'm going to start with you.
Okanagan College.
Thank you. Danielle.
Okanagan College.
Thanks, Zachary.
Okanagan College.
Awesome. Karsten.
Okanagan College.
Great. And Rachel.
Okanagan College.
Okay, so we'll just wait for the first question to come through and I'll set the timer. Okay, the first question comes from Mitch. What is the cost for sourcing the surplus apples and what is the price of a box of juice?
So currently the apples are donated to us as they're apples that aren't good enough to go to supermarkets. So the farmers have a couple of options when apples aren't up to supermarket spec. They can either take them to a fruit co-op and pay to have them picked and then pay another fee to have the apples composted by the fruit co-op, or they can pay to have the apples fall into the ground and reduce their yield for next year because it harms their trees. So the farmers are more than happy to donate the apples to us, as well as DC Tree Fruit is donating the apples that are pulled off of their assembly line that don't meet the specs for supermarkets. We're currently working on our social enterprise model to use the funds that are generated from the sale of our apple juice to actually pay farmers for the apples that they donate to us. And the price of our juice is priced at $15 a box for a 5-liter box. And that we use as a premium pricing model based on the competition. And due to the fact that we've sold out of our entire juice supply within only 4 months, we are confident that it is priced correctly and the market will react positively to it.
Fantastic. The next question comes from Samantha at Sun Life. Regarding your Rising program, is it changing behavior and driving action? What actions have students started to take to drive positive change?
Absolutely. I've been fortunate to be a project manager and go into the classrooms during our pilot phase. So I've been lucky enough to have conversations with the students directly. We do administer a pre and post module survey to assess the students' learning, and 92% of the students who have taken our module have changed their thinking about homelessness in a positive manner. One of the grade 4 classes at one of our school came up with this idea to make tokens of encouragement for the homelessness, and they make little wallet-sized tokens to put in the wallets for homeless people to encourage positivity.
Amazing. Next question comes from Kirsty at Northbridge. Do you own manufacturing facilities and employ solely at-risk youth? And will your business continue after the project ends?
So Fruit Snaps currently uses the facilities provided by the Gleaner Society. They have unused dryer capacity on days when they're not using the dehydrators or when they don't have enough produce to fill up the dehydrators for their own use. And we are able to use the excess capacity in that, as well as in their distribution cycles. They may not fill up entire cargo containers, and we're able to fill that capacity. We're very grateful for them to provide us with this opportunity. Moving forward, we plan on using the revenue generated from the apple juice to hire the at-risk youth to supplement our volunteer labor used for picking and processing the apples to ensure that this project remains sustainable and can carry on to the future.
Great. Next question comes from Tracy, just regarding the apple juice production. What are your business strategies for expansion and growth?
This last year, we received a IRP grant for $10,000, and we are using these funds to work with a local business in Kelowna called Crew Marketing to develop our branding and roll out a marketing campaign, as well as put systems in place that will allow our juice to be sold in mainstream markets. And through these systems, we plan to quadruple our sales from our pilot year and use those funds to expand the project even more in the coming year.
Amazing. Emily from Enterprise asks, do the farmers receive any tax incentive based on the volume of apples that they're donating?
Due to the charitable status of the gleaners, they are able to write out charity tax receipts, and the farmers can then use that to receive a tax break from CRA.
Great. Next question from Brent at RBC. How do you measure the success of your CanSave program?
With all our CanSave modules, we use both pre and post surveys to measure learning. And like any language, financial literacy is best established at a young age. And studies have demonstrated that children who are taught the basics of concepts like budgeting and saving at a young age are better prepared to make good financial decisions in later life. So we have many different modules addressing student learning outcomes from kindergarten up to grade 6, making it possible to actually reinforce and further student learning year after year. Right now, I am actually designing a module for grades 7 and 8 so we can provide even more learning opportunities and continue to scale our impact.
Great. Next question from Brian at Alterna Savings. How will you expand CanSave and Rising to other school boards across Canada?
Right now, CanSave is actually a national program. We're actually in every province, and we're in many, many different communities. This year we impacted 624 teachers alone. We've been able to expand it because we have moved the program online. So all of the modules are available for any teacher that wants to use it to sign up.
Great. And Glenn from the Cooperators asks, as CanSave is free, will this program be sustainable?
Yes, absolutely. We believe that financial literacy is a fundamental life skill that all children should have access to. So charging for our programs would create barriers and might prevent access to important life lessons. We have received significant amounts of external funding, ensuring that we don't need to charge for our modules. And we feel that it's more important to make these lessons available free of charge, allowing us to reach more children and really make a bigger impact.
Great. Next question from Tia at Pembroke Management. What additional partnerships do you envision for the CanSave program?
We're always looking for new community partners. In the past, we have partnered with financial institutions. We have generated well over $100,000 currently in funding from both local community partnerships and grants, ensuring the long-term continuation of the program, and we're always exploring new options.
Great. And just regarding the CanSave program again, how are you building awareness of the program to expand reach?
Actually, this year was one of the biggest challenges for that with COVID-19. Normally, when we implement a new program, we go into the classrooms to kind of get the marketing, get that organic growth going so that teachers tell other teachers, parents tell other parents. So this year, when we couldn't go into the classrooms due to the safety concerns and public health regulations, the new modules for grade 5 and 6 were designed by pairing them with lesson plans and activities, all with instructional videos. So the teachers are now able to play these videos for the students, and they help reinforce the content and the activities, and they've been a huge success. So going forward, as I develop the grade 7 and 8 module, I will be pairing it with videos as well, actually.
Great. And your time has expired. Judges, please join me in congratulating the team from Okanagan College, the final team of the day. Students, you may now leave the meeting. Thank you.